And of course, we're going to be talking today, we're starting out, Omar, about relationship with money. And I'll kind of guide us through a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about. So a lot of it's going to be interviewing, to asking you, and then I'll make comments along the way. And if you see something that you need to ask me about, ask that too. You've read The Wealth Choice, haven't you?
I have not read that one. The Wealth Choice.
The Wealth Choice, yeah. It's by Dennis Kimbro, Kimbro. It is brilliant. I mean, it is a masterpiece. I read it like 5 times.
Well, I just added that to my Christmas list because my kids are always asking me, Dad, you have everything. What do you want for Christmas? So I'm going to write that on there right now.
Well, I take notes, and it is the greatest quote machine in the world, because he interviewed all these. It's kind of like Think and Grow Rich, but for a minority culture. He wrote it, and it is brilliant. Key statements is wealth begins in the mind but ends in the purse. And
all right, I just added it onto my Christmas list. I have a Christmas list because, like you probably, it's very hard to purchase us gifts because when we want anything, we buy it. Now, not in the old days. In the old days, we waited, we invested our money, we literally went without.
it's amazing as I talk to you how parallel our lives have been in regarding money, and our thought process regarding money, and what we had to do to create that consciousness. It shouldn't surprise us. It should be, this is the path, this is the way, and there is no other way. We tend to think that either you have it or you don't. That's what I thought growing up. Either you're rich or you weren't. You came from a family that was rich and you stayed rich, and I didn't realize you can create it. And that's why Think and Grow Rich to me was so powerful. But they think alike, don't they? The millionaire mindset. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Omar, I'm going to be asking you about the books you recommend, why you recommend them, and why in that order.
Okay. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I wanted to purchase a Bentley. You know, I've always wanted one, and it was $250,000. And I went down, drove the car, picked out the one I wanted, was ready to write a check. And then I said, Omar, how could you be so stupid? I said, I'm going to invest that $250,000. And that was the year Primerica stock went public. So I invested it in Primerica stock.
Wow.
That $250,000 it's worth $2.5 million right now.
That car would have cost you a quarter million.
That car would be worth nothing right now.
Yeah.
And now, if I wanted to, just on the dividends of that money that I've got there off the Primerica stock, I could like purchase the Bentley using the dividends, not using the money. So those are like kind of the stuff that you and I look at, where most people in Primerica, they make a little money and they just make such dumb choices that long run really harm their net worth, you know?
Well, again, it's so, we parallel our thinking. So that's why I wanted you on this. I wanted you on this for me. And I love your thinking. I love the reminder. And we're going to start in a second, but I'll introduce the mindset you got to have. And so but stories like this are critical, and that's one of the stories I want you to tell.
Yeah, and like we just purchased a brand new home, and I put $2 million down, and it appraised at $1 million more than what I purchased it at. But if I would have bought that Bentley 10 years ago, that's the money I'm using on. So it's even earning me another $1 million on top of it. I mean, it's just like when you really get conscious about money, and you realize the crap isn't like really what you want. Like, look, I got Rolex watches. You have Rolex watches. We have all that. Right. See that? But that's not what makes us happy, right? What makes us happy is knowing we have freedom. We can do what we want. We never have to order in a restaurant looking at the menu, reading it right, you know, at the left, right? I mean, we just order what we want. Now, that's probably one of my problems, which is why I need to lose some weight, because I don't look at the price. I just order whatever I want. But all those little things, you know.
Well, welcome everybody. We've got a great friend and very money conscious hero in Primerica, Omar Oropesa. And today's going to be the beginning of a 6-month, once a month Zoom call regarding money. We're not going to be talking about how to build a business, how to create a business, what do you do? And you know how to do it. You're just not motivated to make the money necessary to implement the tools that have been given to you. And I'd like to first start out by quoting a author by the name of Dennis Kimbrough that wrote a masterpiece called The Wealth Choice. That's mandatory reading. And interestingly, Omar hasn't read it, but he's lived it. Interesting. He's going to go along. Yeah, I did that. Where he studied hundreds of millionaires across the United States and kind of came up with a summary of the thought process. And one of the quotes is, haven't we worshiped the God of poverty and scarcity long enough? And he talks about money will meet you where you are. Your net worth will equal your self-worth. And he said, if you want to know how people feel about themselves, look at their bank account. Money is the greatest measurement of your mindset. Wealth is less a matter of circumstance than it is a matter of knowledge and choice. Wealth begins in the mind, but ends up in the purse. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, that your destiny is making money, having money, and accumulating money. And let me give you another quote from Napoleon Hill. Unless you can create a white heat burning desire to make and accumulate money, you won't do it. So our relationship with money is either a love affair, which Omar and I have, love-hate relationship, a neglect relationship, or a, so what? There's more to life than money, which we've been bred to think. So Omar, as we start the first session out today, tell us how you began your journey with making money, having money, accumulating money, and you weren't born with it. You didn't come from a family that created it. And like mine, I grew up in, my dad was a factory worker. My mom was a factory worker. They were hourly workers. And all I heard that rich people were bad people, greedy, no good people. I grew up hating rich people because they're the bad guys. And you hear that in politics today. These politicians get rich telling you how bad the rich people are. Yet they get rich. Isn't that interesting? So what's your story, Omar? And why do you think this sessions we're having, the next 6 sessions, are going to be so critical in the future of so many people on this call?
Well, we grew up lower middle class, or upper lower class, if you want to call it. And my mom and dad were just regular workers trying to make ends meet. Many nights, I would listen to them argue, and usually related over money, usually like once a month, middle of the month, bills rolled in. They would write the bills at the table. And when they were all out writing the bills, I knew there was an argument coming,
Yeah.
And you learn that really young. I mean, now having kids, I think I wouldn't want our kids to worry about that stuff, but that was a reality of life. Now, one thing is, my mother was always trying to get rich, okay? She was very entrepreneurial. She worked a job, but she worked like Amway a little bit, Mary Kay a little bit. She got dresses and she purchased them, and then would have these ladies over the house, to purchase the dresses off of her. So my mother was a dreamer, and I think that's where it was planted in me. And I'm trying to remember now. We went and watched a wealth guy named Charles Givens. I don't know if you know that name, Bill. Charles Givens. Yeah, so Charles Givens in the early 80s was this wealthy guy, and he went around the USA and lectured. And I was maybe 8 years old, and my mother brought me with her because there was no one there to watch me. And so I remember I'm 8 years old, I'm listening, and this guy just looked rich. He dressed rich, talked rich, hair was perfect. He was what I envisioned all rich people look like. But then you look at you and I, Bill, and that's not the way all rich people look like, right? But that planted it in me. And then I had one uncle, Uncle Mo, who's alive now and very proud of me now. Uncle Mo worked on Wall Street. He was a president at an investment company. And the only place we would ever visit, vacation, because when you're broke, the only place you vacation is visiting relatives, right? And so when you have one rich relative, that's the one you visit all the time. And so we would fly up to New Jersey. He lived in New Jersey right across the bridge, and he worked in New York, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. He had a mansion. I mean, this thing, now I don't know if it's really a mansion, but when I was 8 years old, I viewed it as a mansion, okay? And it was pretty huge house. And I remember riding the train with him in to work one morning. And I'm 8 years old. And I remember this like yesterday, Bill. I said, Uncle Mo, what do you do? Because whatever you do, that's what I want to do when I grow up, you know? And he says, I handle people's money. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, they give me money, I invest it, and I make it grow. And I thought, okay, I didn't know how you do that. I'm 8 years old, right? But he also told me, he says, you've got to learn about money, because if you never learn about it, even if you earn a lot of it, you'll wind up losing it all. But if you learn about it, even if you don't earn a lot of it, if you're smart and you learn, you could wind up a millionaire. 8 years old, I'm really old now, halfway to 100 years old. So that was a long time ago. And I remember that just like we were riding in the train right now, you know? And now all these years later, Uncle Mo's retired. Now, Uncle Mo ran Charles Schwab's private investment account for many years. So he was up there in the industry because, I mean, Charles Schwab wouldn't let anybody run his own cash, right? And Uncle Mo now visits me and my wife and my kids. And he always tells me how proud he is of me. And I always remind him, I said, Uncle Mo, you were one of the reasons that I am where I am. And then he says, Omar, you did it way smarter than I did it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you not only got rich and wealthy, but you've enjoyed your life with your wife and your kids, where I was working 80, 90, 100 hours a week under stress and pressure for many, many years. I thought, wow, that was powerful. So my mother, being entrepreneurial, never got rich, never made any money, but was always trying, was one of the things. And then you got Uncle Mo, who actually made it, was the other one. And I was like, well, if Uncle Mo's able to do it, and I work like my mom did, and I have those dreams and goals like her, and I work like him, and I'm smart like him and learn what he's letting me know to learn, I could get rich too. Why not me? I can be rich. So that's where it all came out of, I think, anyways.
You know, I think I didn't have an Uncle Mo. Until I was 10 years old, I lived in an apartment. You probably heard the story. And it was called the Cold Water Flat, 10 years old. And we were sharing a commode with the apartment behind us till I was 10. Imagine your kids that. You have to lock the door so the other people don't come in. And then heaven forbid you forget to unlock it. They're pounding on the door. And then once a week, every day my mother gave us sponge baths at the kitchen sink. And every Saturday night, we had a tub of water, a galvanized tub. And my mother, my sister, and I all used the same water to bathe in.
Wow.
And my dad showered at work. And it was called Cold Water Flat because there was cold water. There was no heater to heat the water. And my life was one, I knew what I didn't want. And that helped me. And I thought on TV, I saw that maybe it was phony, but the rich people didn't live like that. And I kept saying, there's got to be a better way. And I made up my mind that if I have a chance, I remember saying this over and over and over again, if I ever have the chance to make it big financially, I'm going to make it. And I remember the day, Omar, I made the decision. And I think everybody on this call has to make the decision, because what's holding them back is their lack of money motivation. They don't have a white heat burning desire like you and I do to make and accumulate money. It's lukewarm. It's not bad. There's more to life than money. We came here to make and accumulate money. And I remember the decision I made, and you and I have talked about this and comment on this, is that if I could make, I remember saying this, if I could make $1,000 a week, I'm going to make $1,000 a week. Then I went down, well, if I can make $1,000 a day, I'm going to make that. If I can make $1,000 an hour, if I can make $1,000 a minute, if I can make $1,000 a second, I'm going to make that. If it's available to be made, I want to make it. And there's no glory and honor in, well, I don't want to be one of those rich people. Well, like Dennis Kimbrough said, we've been serving at the altar of poverty and scarce long enough. And if someone's going to make money, I wanted to be one of those people to make money. I didn't know what that meant. But talk about that. Let me give you some quotes that I've got. Money doesn't go where it's not wanted. What's in your is in your wallet. Talk about that and how it's got to be in your head first. And Primerica is just a indication whether or not you're money motivated, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, early on, I would watch how people would get so motivated over winning a trophy or a plaque or a t-shirt, you know? And I would laugh at those people. I mean, recognition is nice, and I've won all the awards you could win in Primerica, but that didn't one time drive me, okay? What drove me was I wanted to get rich. I use a line all the time. There's recognition Primerica and there's get rich Primerica. And if you play get rich Primerica long enough, you're going to win every award you can win. Okay. And I remember when I was just out of college, you know, I said, if I could only earn $1,000 a week and not work a job where some knuckleheads ordering me around, telling me what to do, right? And then when I earned that watch, that Primerica watch, you know, I thought, well, that wasn't that hard. I mean, I could probably make 100,000 at this thing, you know, and then you make that and then you think $250,000, but it's always in my head. I walk around, you and I do this alike, and I never knew you did this, but even when I was broke, I walked around with a wad of cash in my pocket. Now, when I was broke, I never used it, okay? I never spent any of it, but I left it in my pocket just to remind me every single day, every time I went into my pocket to remind me, I'm rich, I'm rich. Because when you're rich up here, eventually you will get rich. And I remember once you and I went to play golf at your country club, Prestonwood, I think it was. And we drove up and you opened up the middle piece of your car and there was just all this money in there. And you grabbed a handful out of it. You said, this ought to last us for the rest of the day, right? And you put it in your pocket that, man, I want to do that, you know? And, you know, everybody says it's evil, you know, to love money. No, listen, if you love your wife and you love your kids and you love your church and you love your private school that your kids are at and you love people in general, it's good to be rich, right? You can really do a lot of good stuff with that. Like when you purchased a gym, I was at your office and there was a picture of the Orender gym at your kid's school. And I said, you bought a whole gym for your school? He said, yeah, well, it wasn't really me. I go, what do you mean? He goes, dividends paid all of it. I said, dividends paid for a multi-million-dollar gym? He said, yeah, it was only like 1 year worth of dividends. No big deal. I'm like, 5 million. I mean, I said, I want to write that down. I want to do that, right? So if you're the right person with the right mentality, money is great. And you could change your mentality, right? If your mentality is wrong, right? Like if you're not making a lot of money right now and you're not working morning, noon, and night, you know, to try to do it, then you have the wrong mentality. If you're making 100 grand a year in Primerica and you're happy with that, and everybody verbally tells you they're not happy. I'm not happy with that. But yet they've earned 100 grand a year for the last 8 years in a row. That tells me you are happy with it, whether you want to admit it or not. And so you could change your mentality. I was lucky that early on I had Uncle Mo there and Charles Givens that I went to go watch, and watching my mother. But anybody that's in Primerica, you have examples of this. You have Orender, me, Hector, Buisson. There's all kinds of leaders that are like that, that if you start listening and learning, you'll change your mentality, and then you'll grow your business. Versus, I'll grow my business and then my mentality will change. That's not the way it works. It's like, I'm going to lose weight and then eat good and work out. No, you got to eat good and work out, then you lose weight. You want to make money, you got to change this first.
You know, a couple things I want you to talk about. You know, I too agree with you have to have money around. When I was 10 years old, I started a paper route to get money because I did not want to have to go to my parents and say I need money. I hated it. Art Williams, we're going to talk about this in the future, the 6 steps or financial independence from Napoleon Hill that started our company, because Art Williams didn't want anybody's financial thumb on him. If you need their money, they own you.
Yep.
And I started putting $100 in my billfold once a month until I had a couple $1,000, and I carried maybe 1,200, 1,500 constantly with me.
How old?
I was 10 when I started the paper route.
Walking
and then
around with $1,200.
Well, not that much. I had about $50 on me at all times when I was 10, 12 years old.
That was a lot of money back then too, right?
Yeah, and no credit cards. So, but I always had money, and because I liked money, and money liked me. Isn't that interesting? People never made that decision. But talk about, Omar, the money quest, that's the title of this, to accumulate a net worth. And that's the purpose in earning money, to accumulate a net worth, and why that's important.
Well, to me, net worth is your legacy. It's the way we keep score. When you get rich, that's why you keep score and you leave a legacy, right? So, and I often tell our children, I say, Brady, Olivia, look, you're getting started at a way higher level than I got started. So it's your job to take our name to the next level. Now, I've been letting them know that all their lives. It's ingrained in their head. And you look at Brady right now, Brady's got his dreams and goals written on his desk. And his goal is he wants to run Disney World. He wants to be chief executive officer of Disney. He has business plans already written out. He knows where he wants to open parks at. He's got ride ideas. He's got drawings already. He's in the 8th grade, guys. Who does that in the 8th grade? He's done the homework on demographics and income and where they need to open the next parks. So that's Brady. And Olivia has it written on her desk, youngest $1 million earner in Primerica history, right? And this is nothing that I told them they needed to do. I have just been implanting them and talking to them about our net worth. I actually log online with our kids. I let them look at our net worth. They've watched it grow over the last 8-9 years. Their net worth, each one of our kids has $500,000 in their accounts right now. Okay. They're 12 and 13 years old, right? So net worth is legacy. I want my great grandkids, to know who I was, what I was like, what I did, what I accomplished. You asked the majority of the world, Bill, what was the name of your great granddad? And you get a blank look, right? They have no idea, right? They don't even know their great granddad probably, right? Why? They didn't leave them anything. I guarantee you, if they had accumulated a net worth that was worthy, you know, and they left them a trust with instructions and all that kind of stuff, they would know everything about us, right? So I don't know. To me, that's what it's all about. It's not about houses and cars and Rolexes and I love all that stuff, and I've got all that stuff now, but I went without that for many, many years because this was what drove me. Like, I brought this up earlier. About 10 years ago, I was looking to purchase a Bentley, $250,000 Bentley. I went down to the place, picked it out, was ready to write a check. And then the inner Omar in me came out, Bill. He says, what are you doing, you knucklehead? $250,000 invested over the next 10 years. So I invested it in Primerica stock. $250,000 has grown 10 times in Primerica stock. It's now worth $2.5 million versus that Bentley would be worth zero. So today that $2.5 million just in dividends will pay me enough money where if I want to purchase a Bentley, the dividends can pay for it, right? So growing a net worth, growing assets, later on, those assets pay you assets. I remember Bill telling me many years ago, Omar, one day you'll make more money off your investments than you make on your Primerica income. I remember Bobby in Red telling me the exact same thing. And I'm like, Bobby, you making $4 million what do you mean? He says, well, last year I made about 22 million in dividends. I was like, what? So he more than quadrupled, quintupled his Primerica income with his. So that stuff, listening to Bill, Bobby, and listen, it's your job to get around the right people. Like millionaires do that. Millionaires get around the right people. Bill Orender did not know me. I was in Texas and I called him one day out of the blue. He don't even know who the hell I am. I said, hi, I'm Omar Oropesa. And I was stuttering every word. I'm in town with my wife. My wife is the daughter of Nick Elise. I use that because maybe that could get me in. I didn't know. And Bill said, come on over. I was like, oh my God, Bill Orender's letting us over his house. And we went over there and we spent, I don't know, an hour and a half. Man, that made my whole trip. I was like, I know a new millionaire. I got to grow a relationship with that guy. Bobby and Red, we're close. I mean, we've slept over their house. They've slept over our house. We've traveled together. Hector Lamarck and I remember I used to listen to his audios all the time. And I said, one day, Hector will know who I am. I'm telling you, Hector and I text, talk, and tweet every single day. We are best friends. So you guys that want that millionaire, mentality, you got to hang out with millionaires, right? And guess what? Millionaires, they don't hang out with lazy people. They don't hang out with losers and excuse makers, right? I knew that in order to hang out with Bill and Larry Weidel and Lamarck and Buisan, I had to go work hard because I wanted to bring them value as well. And so you need to grow those relationships. Quit hanging out with the exact broke people. Bill, would you agree that broke people hang out with broke people? It's crazy.
Yeah, they're comfortable there.
They get comfortable there. And then when they get around, like even me, I got vice presidents who I love them, okay? And I know a lot of them are just uncomfortable around me. But the only reason they're uncomfortable is they're not doing the things they know they need to do. And they know if they get around me, I'm going to challenge them on that, right? And, but you've got to get uncomfortable. This was a valuable lesson that I learned, Bill, when I was like in the 8th grade. In the 8th grade, my dad was an alcoholic. He was a drunk. So we were always at the bar. And so one day, he would drag us kids with him, to the bar. So that was our hangout. And the owner of the bar was griping about his cleaning crew. He didn't like the way they worked. They were lazy. They were late. They didn't clean well. And he was paying them $80 a night. And to clean the place was only about 2 hours worth of work. So I overheard him and I said, Mr. George, hire me. I'll do it. And I'll do a great job. You'll love the job that I do. And I stuttered every word asking him that, right? And Mr. George looks at me like a little kid. And I was only in the 8th grade, so I was a little kid. And my dad said, George, give him a try. You don't like the other guys? So Mr. George said, okay, here's the club keys. We open at 11 o'clock on the weekends. When you're off school, you need to drive in here early in the morning and clean this place up where it's spotless. Man, I would ride my bicycle up there to the club and I would clean the most disgusting stuff you've ever seen. People throw up, they were drunks, there were drugs on the floor, cocaine packed, just crazy stuff that an 8th grader would ever see. But the lesson I learned was I made $80 working 2 hours twice a week. So I made 80 one day, 80 the next day. That's $160 a week for working 4 hours. My friends went to work at the grocery store making minimum wage. They'd make $12 a day or something, right? The lesson is you get paid to do all the crap no one else wants to do. As an 8th grader, I learned that. In Primerica, you get paid to do the crap nobody wants to do. Prospect, recruit, and you grow your net worth doing all the crap nobody wants to do. When you make money, you don't want to live under your means. When you make money, you don't want to make smart, wise choices. You want to blow and you want to let everybody know how much money you're making. You can let them know what you're making. Log online, let them look at your investment accounts. I mean, that's what I did. So anyways, that's just what's rolling around in my head this morning, Bill.
Well, I want to talk about net worth and where I learned it from Art Williams. And, Art Williams said the best way to recruit is with your income, a check, and your mutual fund statement, net worth. And of course, he always talked about, which we'll cover the next time, the Napoleon Hill 6 steps of financial independence, where he wanted $300,000.
Yep.
So he can get 10%, $30,000 a year for the rest of his life. And the key words, so I can tell everybody to go stick it in their ear. He didn't say that, but
right.
Stick it in their ear. And that's where I learned it. And I came to Primerica. I wanted a net worth. I didn't join the financial services industry. I joined the money-making industry. And this was a way for me to make money and accumulate money. And I had 3 goals. One, I had a goal of having a net worth of $1 million in 10 years after I joined. Second goal, I wanted to have $100,000 in the next 5 years. And $100,000 back then was like, $400,000 today. So when Art says that he wanted 300,000, that's like having 3 million today. And I said, now how much money do I need to make in order to accumulate that? And I started figuring out, here's the money I needed to make. So I started making that kind of money to fund and feed my net worth, not to buy cars and homes and clothes, because I've never met anyone that was stimulated long enough to buy things that motivates them. And so Art Williams in the early days always worried, Omar, about us being put out of business. And so it helped us because he said, worst case is we're going to make a lot of money, we're going to save a lot of money, and we're going to walk away from this thing. They're going to put us out of business, but at least we got millions of dollars to take with us. And so,
Bill, look how close we came to losing our company.
Numerous times.
I mean, even when I was in Primerica in 08 and 09, it almost happened. I mean, most people in Primerica had no idea what was going on. But now where we're at, publicly traded company, it'll never happen. But it was like that close, right? And so that really lit a flame under my butt even more. I already had a flame under my butt, okay? But when that happened, when I know a lot of the home office guys, and I was like, hearing things, right? And I'm like, man, if we get through this, I'm going to get bulletproof, bulletproof, bulletproof. Man, I ain't never going to worry, because I did have some sleepless nights in '08 and '09, right? So that's what drives me too. Now with, we've got a net worth, around 11.5 million in cash and stocks and mutual funds. I'm not talking about the value of my Primerica business. I'm not talking about home equity, in my house. I'm talking about, I could write a check right now for $11.5 million, right? And so when I hear that, I even say, that's pretty good, but I need to get to 20 million, 25 million, 50 million. I mean, Bill, tell us what that's like, to have that level. Like you must sleep really good at night. I mean, you must not worry about a thing. Come on, let us know. We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
Oh, Omar, my butt's always burning. Art Williams said, I don't know why, but my butt's always burning, like yours will be. I'm just glad that whatever caused me, and I believe God did it, caused me to say, make and accumulate money, make and accumulate, make and accumulate. And I remember I told Carol she wanted a new dining room set for the house. And I said, nope, not until we have $100,000 put away. And so when I got 100,000, it came in, go buy your dining room set. Everything we decided was based on net worth.
Yeah.
Because I wanted my money working for me. Once you're in the mutual fund business, you understand it. And I wanted to be able to have money coming in while I sleep. Not just from the overrides, but I wanted my money like you. You get $11.5 million and your income is like 1.4 from Primerica. Your total net worth income wise is that 10% is, $2.5 million while you sleep. That's what I wanted. I want to be able to put my head on the pillow and know my money was working for me. I wanted money for me because I didn't want to have to work for money.
You know how much we're alike. My wife wanted a Louis Vuitton purse, right? And I went looking at it. I was like, $2,800 now, $2,800. This was years and years ago. Now they're double that or more. But I was like, $2,800 for a purse? Are you crazy? She was like, I just really want one day, honey. We don't have to get it now. And I said, okay, when we've got $1 million cash, we'll get a Louis Vuitton bag, right? And so we were earning just over $500,000 in income. We had just crossed $1 million in cash. We went on a trip to Bermuda, an anniversary trip, Bermuda, and there's a street in Bermuda like Rodeo Drive, it's has all the high-end places and stuff. And so as we were leaving the trip to fly home, I arranged a limousine to pick us up early. And my wife was like, why are we leaving this early? The flight is not until later. I said, just, you never know. It's an international flight. I was making up crap, right? And so the limousine picks us up and we drive over to Rodeo Drive. I don't know the name of the street, but it's like Rodeo Drive is. And we drove right up, to the Louis Vuitton store, Bill. And you ought to seen my wife light up. She just lit up, right?
You knew it, huh?
And I was like, babe, we have $1 million cash. We're making over $500,000 and you're pregnant with Brady. So for all that, you deserve a Louis Vuitton. So we went in there and I let her choose anyone she wanted. And she picked out this limited edition one that we still got it. It's tripled in value, which is crazy. And so just like you, we would always have a goal of a net worth prior to making a purchase, right? Like,
amazing how you and I think alike. Yeah, everything, no matter what. Our first dream house. I had to have millions put away before I bought that dream house. When I hit that, I said, now we can buy that dream house. Watches, cars. I got to the point where it was shoes. I'm not going to buy that.
Gotten that far yet. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Because, you know, if you can just buy it, then that doesn't help you achieve something. So I said, when I hit this net worth, then I can buy that pair of shoes I've been looking at. And people think, well, I just buy them because I want it, and they put it on credit card, or they buy the car and borrow the money for it. And it's when you set a net worth goal, it serves you so that it gives you the inner energy to accomplish something. And then you have a memorial stone called a house or a car or a watch. Because I've got a watch now. I rarely wear it. But when I make $50,000 in 1 month, I'm going to buy that watch. And I did. And so I remember that was back in 1984. And so talk about, I tell you, Tony, can you pull those the PowerPoints up for a second? Here's the books. And then we're going to get on to the thing that you taught me about being in a shower and writing your goals.
That sounds weird, right? That sounds really weird.
These are Omar's top 3 books he recommends you read. And we're going to go through the first one and explain why each book, why you recommend it.
Well, I mean, number one, this book, I actually read it with all of our RVPs. Like, I like made it a required reading, and it really changed a lot of them. They started like really doing the stuff that was in the book. I just wish they would have kept doing it. They didn't. They like stopped. It like lasted for a little while. But if you read this book, it really gets you in the right mentality, and it like helps you create habits that will help you accumulate net worth.
And what's the next one?
Think and Grow Rich is everybody, you know. I will warn everybody here. This book, if you've never read it, when you read it one time, you're going to be like, this is the stupidest, hardest book to read, right? You're going to probably give up on page 10, right? You're like, what's Orender and Omar talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. You've got to read it a couple times and really start to do what it tells you to do. Then it's as crystal clear. You really get it, and it'll really help you a lot. But I want to warn you, it's not an easy read if you've never read it before. But the more you read it, the more you apply what it tells you to do, it's easier to read. Would you agree with that, Bill? Or
oh yeah, like the Bible. You know, you're at different stages, and one of my favorite quotes was, "You must develop a money consciousness. If you don't, a poverty consciousness will take over." So either you have a money consciousness or you have a poverty consciousness. There's no in betweens. But on page 72 of that book, in my book, it gave a formula for, you have to say it before you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning. And I said that formula, my goal is to make blank number dollars. My faith is so strong that I can now see the money before my eyes. I can touch it. I can feel it. I possess it. It waits transfer to me at the time, reports, and deliver the service I intend to render in return for it. I said that for 30 years before I went to bed at night and when I woke up in the morning. I repeated that formula. Same thing Art Williams said. He read the first 36 pages. This is the book that transformed him. So this is a critical book. And so what's your next one?
It's The Millionaire Next Door. That was a book that really helped me when I wasn't really making a lot of money yet, right? Because we think, well, in order to get rich, you need to make a lot of money. And so I read this probably 1998-ish when I had just earned $100,000. And it gave you a lot of stuff about what the average millionaire really looks like. And so it makes it easier in your brain that you can achieve it, you know? And there's also really neat stuff in there that talks about picking the right spouse is critical. I mean, Bill, you would probably agree with this, and I'd love to listen to your view on that, but picking the right spouse is one of the most important things you could do if you want to accumulate a huge net worth. Would you agree with that? Or what's
Oh,
your view on
yeah,
that?
they got to be in. Carol, interestingly, when we started making 50,000, she said to back off, slow down, and I just kept going. And 100,000, slow down, back off. We were enjoying it, but you've got to have a spouse that's in concert with your goal for financial independence and freedom and your net worth. Because if they're fighting it all the time and spending things and to create that imaginary life that they really are not living with cars and homes too early. So
Right.
you're right, and I'm glad they didn't have to choose the right spouse. That they
Yeah.
we chose it. Uh,
Would have struck out probably, you know? Um, and the other thing in creating a net worth that I think was critical is every month I would meet with Danielle like we were business partners, right? Early on, we had a budget. We lived on a budget. People think, oh, you're rich. You don't live on a budget. I got a budget. Now, it's a nice budget. Okay. The more that I've earned, I've expanded the budget. But we would meet every month and we would go over what we made, what we spent, where we spent it, and where we were going to invest what was left every month. And so it like really got her involved in the mission. And where that was good is she clearly understood. She never wanted to spend more, like a lot of, this is typical, don't get mad at me, but most women want to spend money, right? They love the malls and they love shoes and they love this and love that. And there's a lot of women that's going, no, not me. Okay, sure, make a little money and let's watch what you do, right? But anyways, with her, it was different because we were on the exact page. We were on the exact wavelength. And me as a man, I knew that I needed to go work every month because at the end of the month, I was getting like a report card, Bill, because at the end of the month, we were reviewing what I made that month, right? And I wanted an A on that report card every month, And so that little accountability help me work harder and really lock in on the right stuff in business, which is licensing, training, developing people so that I could make money when I wasn't there, so that I could earn more money than we needed so that we could accumulate a huge net worth. So I think nowadays, Bill, in Primerica, these people are just spending money, driving nice cars, walking around with Louis Vuitton bags when they're only earning 100 grand. They got no net worth. They're not even maxing out their IRA accounts, for crying out loud, in a lot of times, and they're blowing money. And if you want to grow net worth, you need to change. People are, I'm good the way I am. Are you? Are you really? Let's look at your net worth. We'll let you know if you're good or not. How long could you go with no income rolling in? If it's a year, you ain't good. If it's 25 years, maybe you're okay. I went off the rails, Bill. I'm sorry.
I love the talk. That's why this is. It's kind of like 380 people that are on the call listening in on two guys that are in Primerica that talking about their favorite subject. Most people's football, baseball, basketball. Well, our favorite subject is making and accumulating money. Tony, put up the my list of my 3 books, please. Thank you, Tony, for doing this, by the way. Thank you. My 3 books. The first one is The Wealth Choice, and I'll explain it. This man is it's a masterpiece. And the one-liners in there help build a mental mindset that it's okay to make money, and the mindset of all these millionaires that came from nothing. And, that's what I hate about the government telling us how bad the rich people are. You take the rich people out of this country and there are no jobs. And so the first one I recommend is The Wealth Choice. The second one thank you, Tony, is you're a badass at making money. I just reread this for the third time the other day, Omar. That's why I have it on there.
I like the name.
If you're a badass at making money, you're going to be a badass at building a hierarchy.
That's right.
And they go together. Again, this gives you the mental mindset, the consciousness. And then the third one is Think and Grow Rich, like Omar talked about. And then he tells you how to implement it with writing out your goals and how you've got to implant those goals on a daily basis. And that brings us to Omar, your famous shower sessions where you write out your goals. You taught that, and I have done it religiously. Did it this morning. I'm so grateful you taught me this, because I wish I'd known this years earlier, because this would have helped me get there faster. So talk about your ritual in the shower and why it's important. And you even had like say you run out of hot water sometimes. You stayed in there so long. Talk about that, because I think this is a great story.
In the shower, this is weird talking about what I do in the shower on a Zoom, right? But what I do, what I've always done, like that was the place where I always dreamt. Growing up, in a little house, it was the only place that you had any privacy, And so I remember as a little kid playing Little League baseball. I would dream about winning the championship, and I'd be writing up there, Pittsburgh Pirates, world champions, Omar Oropesa, contract, $1 million a year. And I would do that as a little kid. And then the older that I got, it would change, because then when it wasn't Little League, I was playing in the NFL, then I was playing in Wimbledon, then I went to college, and I was a businessman. And then when I was in Primerica, I started writing the numbers. I run the hot water and the glass is all smoggy. And I would literally write down, and I wish my iPad pencil was here because I would write it out. I might write it out on our next Zoom, okay? But I would write out the names of people that I would, in my mind, view as vice presidents, generation ones only. I'd write their names out. I'd write out their premium that they're doing in their face shop. I would add that up. And then in my mind, I would write out bonus, I would make this much. Advances, I'd make this much. Earns, I'd make this much. Investments, I'd make this much. And I work out the annual income. Then I'd relate it to, okay, so to make that annual income, I need to write that much in premium. I need to grow a hierarchy doing that much in premium. Then I'd erase it all. And I let the hot water smog it all up again. And I'd write it again. And maybe I'd adjust the numbers because I wanted a larger income. So I would add more vice presidents or larger premium numbers that they were doing. My wife, when we were newlyweds, would wonder, what are you doing in the shower? I was like, anytime you want to check it out, come on inside. But, but that's what I was doing in the shower, and I still do it to this day. As a matter of fact, Bill, every night when I lay to sleep, every night, I let my wife go to sleep. So I actually close my eyes, I don't go to sleep, and I envision a massive hierarchy that is producing massive income. And in my mind, I work, it's almost like I'm Rain Man or something, right? I'm an excellent driver. Wapner's on at 4:00. So anyways, and I envision this huge net worth, hundreds of millions of dollars. Even in my mind, I'll reach $1 billion at the age of 90. I'm going to be a billionaire. In my mind, it's already happened. So every night I lay there, and that's what winds up putting me to sleep every night. And then every morning I lay there for 10 minutes and I do that again. Then I'll leave out my morning WhatsApps and my morning tweets. And then I'll go in the shower and I'll do it all again. So that's the way I start my day, and that's the way I end the day. And everybody asks me, isn't that exhausting? To do that every day? I go, man, I couldn't do a day without it. I've wired my brain to want that so much. It's not the love of money. You know, I don't want to, oh, Omar just loves money. It's the love of what net worth gives you and leaves behind a life for your kids and grandkids and great grandkids and great great grandkids. It's more than the cars and the houses, although those are nice. It, I don't know. It's greatness, right? Everybody when you're little wants greatness. And then life slaps you around. And the more it slaps you, the more it hits you, your dreams and goals get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, where you just want to earn a living. You're not even worried about net worth anymore. You're just like, I got to pay the bills. And with that mentality, you'll never grow any net worth. So you have to change the way you think, and listening to this Zoom is one way that at least once a month you could do. So when Bill called me and asked me to do this with him, number one, I was very honored. Bill, I was very, very honored that you asked me. I had a smile from left ear to right ear. My wife was with me. And she's like, what, did you just win the lottery or something? You look so happy. I go, well, kind of, you know. And so I'm very honored you asked me from everybody in Primerica, you know, to do it. And hopefully we could grow this number of attendees. You know, we're at 381. I didn't really promote it huge because I was worried about hitting the limit. So maybe next one we'll use my Zoom that's a little bit larger, and then eventually we'll have to use home office's Zoom that holds 10,000 people on it. So that'll be awesome.
Yeah, my son-in-law's got one that holds 30,000.
There you go. Well, good. Yeah. We got him.
Let me, as we're starting, we got 8 more minutes. Oprah Winfrey said, once you've been hungry, you can never be full. And when we talk about the things that hold people back, it's this enough principle. Well, how much is enough?
Never. Nothing. There is no enough.
See, and people judge us on that. Like I said, well, when I get there, I'll let you know. And so how do you handle, how did you handle getting over the enough is, how much is enough? And we all go through that. How did you finally get over that? And how would you recommend what people would do to get over their how much is enough thought process?
Well, I don't ever think that I had that. There's an enough, but maybe I did. So let me tell you what I mean. I used to think, Bill, that when I made $500,000 in income, in override income, I'd retire. Because I mean, what would I ever do with $500,000 a year, right? That was small thinking, right? That was like poverty thinking. You may look at that and say $500,000 is not poverty thinking. It is, because I was actually thinking that was enough. So then I get to $500,000. But what happens in the process is, if you do the right things, if you grow relationships with the right people, you read the right books, you change your mentality. When you get to $500,000, I thought, how am I ever going to live on this little? I got to get to $1 million, right? Then when you get, to $1 million, like last year, our income tax return, Bill, was $3.2 million was our income last year. $1.5 million was off of Primerica, and the rest was dividends, capital gains. And so I actually earned a little bit more last year off of our investments than incomes. So what you told me years ago happened to me last year. I made more on our investments. But I think as long as you're growing relationships with the right people and you're watching what they're doing with their money, for example, Bill Orender buying a gym and donating it, to the school, right? I can't do that on $500,000 in income or even $1 million in income, right? You have to grow a huge net worth. So how I got over it was growing relationships with people that were wealthy and learning the way they viewed the world, right? Versus, there's a lot of people like, oh, rich people are evil. Man, I haven't met one rich person that's evil yet. I haven't. They're probably out there, but the ones I know, Art Williams, Bobby and Red, Bob Miller, Orender, Larry Waddell,
Yeah,
Keith,
yeah.
the list goes on and on and on, right? So that's how I got over that, I think. And like even now, our next goal is getting 2 million a year in income. We're going to get that. We're going to make that happen. And our net worth over $20 million, right? And then when I get there, like you, I'm not going to be done, right? I mean, I don't envision ever closing down my base shop. I mean, I know people like, that's crazy. I'm like, well, I'm crazy then, I mean, it's okay. Crazy equals rich, normal equals broke. Which one you want to be,
Well, I think that the mindset has got to be there. It's like someone saying, well, how many children do you have? Two. Isn't one enough? Who are you to tell me how many children I should have?
Right.
Like my aunt said, why do you need to live in such a big house? In other words, I wasn't meeting her approval on the size of a house I should have. Who are you to tell me how much money I should make? With your judgment on how much is enough. You have to satisfy how many tens of billions of people and what they think enough is. And again, we are hamstrung by all these small-minded people. And I hate the politicians because they want you to keep small-minded, so now they have control on your life. And don't think they don't. And these newspaper people, you have to start associating with people that think bigger. Art Williams, like this in Primerica, and people are saying, well, can you imagine the kind of money is being made here? This is crazy money. No, this system is designed to make crazy money. You have to decide how much of it do you want to get. So end on that, Omar. And till we get next week, we're going to be back on January the 15th. That's a Friday, same time, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And I'll get the new number out using yours. So hopefully we'll break through that 500 number. So, and give us a final word, Omar, and what you think we're accomplishing today.
Well, I think what we're accomplishing is we're opening the minds of winners. I mean, if you're on the call, you want to win. That's why you're here, right? Because a lot of people knew about it and they're not here. So you are here. So we're accomplishing opening your mind, realizing Primerica is like a vault. It's a vault. And in that vault is like jewels, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, cash, gold coins, right? And Primerica will let you walk in that vault and grab what you want. And most people, because of their mentality, are walking in and just grabbing enough to load their pockets with. If you get the right mentality, you're going to buy an 18 rig wheel truck and back it in there and load that mother up. You know what I'm saying? And start realizing that accumulating wealth is more about legacy, changing lives, having an impact than it is stuff. And maybe you'll start making smarter choices that'll help you accumulate net worth, help you get out of debt. I remember meeting Bill once, and he was talking about his daughters. He says, anybody that marries my daughter better not have any debt, right? And I was like, well, I don't know his daughter, but maybe I want to marry her someday, right? Let me get out of debt, right? And so, I mean, man, it's just, there's a whole world out there if you just unleash you and your mentality. And I know it's hard for a lot of you guys for whatever reason, because your parents were one way, or you've grown up one way, or you're living one way right now that you just can't even visualize getting wealthy. I'd read that Millionaire Next Door book, to really open your mind on what the average millionaire looks like, and then grow off of that. So I'm just jacked up that there were this many on the call, as a rookie call. Kicklighter's on there. Cindy Kicklighter. So good to see you. So good to see you, Cindy. You look good. Love the hair. I remember when I ran into you last time, you had a lot less. There you go. Look at that. It's great. And so, Bill, I just want to let you know I'm grateful. And I'm grateful that you led us over your house that day. I don't know what was in your mind, but I will tell you that I've done that with others. Other people have randomly called me and they're in town, and you know, I was like, well, Bill Orender led us over there, so I got to give back. And so I've let people in our homes that I don't know, and I've changed their lives as well. So I owe that all to you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. I love what Dennis Kimbrough said. If you wish to be wealthy, you must study the acquisition of wealth. You have to have your mindset. That's why I don't read novels. I read self-help books like, last year I read over 43 of them. And every year I read between 40 and 50. And every third book is a money book. I've got to remind myself over and over again the principles of accumulating and having wealth. And so our job is to get your minds ready for the harvest of wealth that's available, because God doesn't do it for you. He provides the resources for you to put it together. And God wants you to be wealthy. If you have any problems with that, read Rabbi Daniel Lapin. And Rabbi Lapin says this: money is a system of distilling the essence of a person's usefulness to his fellow human beings. So Omar's influence and usefulness for other people can be determined by, look at what the money's making. The only way you make money is by making somebody else's life better. And the way, you're not going to take it with you, but you can sure help a lot of people along the way. And making money, you don't help people when you make the money, then you give back. I hate that term. You're making money because, look at how many death claims do you think your hierarchy is paying a year, Omar?
I don't know. It's a lot. I have no idea.
Base shop paid 100 death claims last year. The base.
Wow.
We're paying 2 a day in the hierarchy.
Wow.
And why are we paying? Because look at the money I'm making. See, so anyway, this has been great, Omar. I cannot wait till January 15th, and you and I will be talking in between. I can't get enough of this. I love your mind. And there's not enough of folks like you out there, are there, to talk like this, is there, Omar? Mention that for a second.
You know, that's one thing that I wish would change in Primerica versus everybody up there letting everybody know to go drive a new car or buy a new house. Like when I was a new recruit, we had Bob Miller, and I love Bob Miller. He changed my life. He retired, but he was there a year when I was new, and every talk he did was about living under your means, investing your money, growing net worth. All the Art Williams videos and audios. Art wasn't around when I was new, but his audios were, his videos were. I used to listen to all those, your audios, your videos. So we need to get more people in this group, just with this Zoom group, right? If there was a group of you guys that really stepped up, right, and really went to work and grew your income, and you practice what we're preaching, the lives you could change, and we can multiply it, where it's not just me and Bill doing this, right? There's multiples of us doing it all over the country, and we could really change this thing. I think we've gotten off track a little bit. You know, we're more worried about, doing 20 and 20 or 100 and 100 a month or whatever your number is. You have to know why you're doing it in order to do it, right? You have to know why you're doing it, and then you need a plan of action. You need an end game. You need a reward, right? When I accumulate this much, then I'm going to do this. When I accumulate this much, and I'm going to do that. And that's the way I learned it. Thank God I was recruited in a organization that practiced that and preached that, because if I was brought in to the wrong hierarchy, because there's hierarchies that'll tell you blow every dime, get the largest house you could get, because then you'll work harder. I don't agree with that. That's just,
I agree.
So.
Well, thank you very much, Omar. We'll see everybody January 15th, 9 a.m. We'll be getting out the Zoom number. Can you give us the Zoom number now, Omar?
No,
You have,
no. I don't have it because I have to line it up. So I don't have it.
all right. Well, we'll send it out to everybody, and thank your secretary for putting that flyer together, and thank you, Tony, for helping us do this. We'll see everybody January 15th. Merry
Hello,
Christmas.
everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas to everybody too.